You may not even realize how limited you are. But if you want to see how to break those limitations and become who you are truly meant to be, prepare yourself. In this world, only those who dare to see their reality not as a given are capable of creating their own. This video is based on Nietzsche's philosophy and will be intriguing and valuable to those who delve into philosophy or seek to discover it on a new level. Well then, let's begin. You are not born to follow. The world has spent years whispering in your ear, convincing you to stay small, to blend in, to avoid making waves. It has built invisible chains around your mind, telling you that safety is found in numbers, that comfort is better than conquest. But comfort breeds weakness, and weakness is the slowest form of death. The herd does not seek greatness, it seeks survival. A lion does not ask permission to roar. A lion does not seek the approval of sheep. The ones who drift with the current are already dead, they simply have not realized it yet. They move through life like ghosts, their days dictated by rules they never wrote, their ambitions crushed beneath the weight of someone else's expectations. They do not think, they do not question, they do not fight. They exist in the shadows, afraid to step into the light, afraid of their own power, afraid of what might happen if they truly embraced who they are. But you are made for more. There is something in you that refuses to be caged, a hunger that cannot be silenced. It is time to feed it, to step outside the lines that have been drawn for you and draw your own, to become the force that bends the world to its will instead of bending under the weight of the world. The moment you decide to take control, the moment you refuse to be another nameless figure in the crowd, the transformation begins. Power is not given, it is taken. It is claimed by those willing to risk comfort for dominance, by those who would rather face the storm than wither in mediocrity. A lion does not wait for the world to recognize its strength. It moves with the quiet certainty of its own supremacy. It does not explain itself. It does not seek validation. It simply is. This world does not belong to the meek. It belongs to those who dare to seize it, to those who have the courage to stand alone, to walk a path no one else dares to tread, to burn the bridges of the past and forge ahead with fire in their veins. Become the storm that the fearful hide from. Become the hunter, not the prey. Become a lion among sheep. And once you do, you will never look back. Forge your own philosophy. Do not be a slave to another's thoughts. You are not born to be a mere echo of those who came before you. The world has tried to mold you, to pour your mind into a shape that fits the designs of others. From the moment you could listen, they have fed you their truths, their rules, their version of meaning. They have handed you pre-written scripts, urging you to read your lines, to believe without questioning, to follow without thinking. But a life lived by borrowed wisdom is no life at all. It is servitude disguised as certainty. The thoughts that rule your mind, are they truly yours? Or are they relics of someone else's fears, traditions, and limitations? Most people never ask. They wear second-hand beliefs like chains, mistaking them for armor. They walk paths carved by dead men and call it destiny. But what is a man if not the architect of his own meaning? What is a life if not a work of art, sculpted by one's own will? You must strip away the illusions. Burn every borrowed conviction. Tear down the walls built inside your mind by hands that were not your own. It is not enough to reject what is false. You must create what is true. Your truth, your law, your philosophy. This is the work of the strong. The weak cling to doctrines, afraid to face the abyss of their own freedom. They want certainty, even if it is a lie. But the strong walk into that abyss and shape it with their own hands. They forge meaning where none existed before. They do not inherit a purpose, they build one. You are not a disciple. You are not a follower. You are the sculptor of your own soul. Every thought must be tested in the fire of your own mind. Every principle must be carved from the granite of your own experience. To live by another's philosophy is to be a shadow, a whisper, a ghost. But to create your own, to stand upon an edifice of thoughts that are truly yours, is to be a force, a storm, a living testament to your own will. Do not seek guidance from the graves of old thinkers. Do not recite the wisdom of others as if it were your own. Become your own philosopher. Build your own doctrine. Etch your own commandments into the stone of existence. For only then will you truly live. Flee from those who complain but do nothing. Parasites feed on your will. The world is full of voices soaked in misery. They whisper, they wail, they gnash their teeth at the cruelty of fate, the unfairness of life, the weight of their own existence. And yet, when the time comes to act, to rise, to fight, to forge a path forward, they do nothing. They wallow in their own decay, clinging to their suffering as if it were a sacred relic. They are not warriors. They are not creators. They are parasites, feeding on the strength of those who still dare to move. And what of you? What happens when you stand among them? Your fire begins to dim. Your will, once sharp as a blade, begins to dull under the weight of their lamentations. At first, you think you are helping, offering them wisdom, offering them a way out of their self-inflicted torment. But they do not want a way out. Their suffering is their refuge, their excuse, their shield against the responsibility of action. And so they pull you down, draining your energy, clouding your mind, poisoning your resolve. Do not let them. Do not listen to their endless dirges, their rehearsed tragedies, their devotion to helplessness. Let them drown in their own weakness, if that is their choice. But do not allow them to pull you into the abyss alongside them. A man who complains but does not act is already dead. His breath is wasted air, his presence a weight on the shoulders of those who still fight. And you must fight. You must cut away the dead flesh of those who seek to infect you with their inertia. You owe them nothing. Your strength is yours, and you will not spend it propping up those who refuse to stand. Surround yourself with those who burn with purpose. Walk only with those who understand that suffering is not a prison but a forge, that hardship is not an excuse but a test. Let the weak rot in their own helplessness. You will rise. Be alone, but not lonely. Solitude is the forge of the spirit, not a curse. The crowd is a prison disguised as comfort. It whispers to you, lulling you into the illusion that to be surrounded is to be alive, that noise is proof of purpose, that constant company is the antidote to the unbearable weight of existence. But the truth is this: the more you dissolve into others, the less of yourself remains. The world does not teach you how to be alone, because a man who masters solitude is a man who cannot be controlled. Solitude is not emptiness, it is power. It is the crucible in which the weak break and the strong are remade. To stand alone is to strip away the illusions, to face yourself without distraction, without validation, without the dull murmur of voices shielding you from the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. And it is in this confrontation that true strength is born. Those who fear solitude fear themselves. They run from silence because in silence, there is no escape from the thoughts that stalk them. They drown themselves in conversation, in obligation, in the endless, mindless hum of the herd. But a man who seeks greatness does not run, he endures. He enters solitude as iron enters fire, and if he is worthy, he emerges as steel. You must not mistake this for isolation. The world will try to convince you that to be alone is to be lost, but the opposite is true. The loneliest man is not the one who walks his path alone, but the one who surrounds himself with the wrong people. People who do not think, do not strive, do not push themselves beyond the limits of mediocrity. To be alone in thought is to be truly lost. But to be alone in body while your mind roams free, unchained, unburdened, that is to be untouchable. Do not fear solitude. Seek it. Learn to sit with your own mind until it is sharpened like a blade, until you can stand before the world without needing it. The strong do not beg for company. They do not tether themselves to the fleeting comfort of the crowd. They walk alone, and in doing so, they own themselves completely. Be alone, but never empty. Let your thoughts be your empire, your mind your greatest ally. And when you return from solitude, you will not return as you were. You will return as something greater. Seek no approval. Those who judge you envy your freedom but fear their own. The need for approval is a leash around your neck, a quiet, invisible chain that keeps you tamed. The world teaches you to seek it, to crave the nods of agreement, the murmurs of acceptance, the illusion that you are walking the right path because others say so. But what is this approval worth? The moment you depend on it, you are no longer your own. You become a prisoner, bending, shrinking, molding yourself into a shape that pleases those who will never dare to live as freely as you. And what of those who criticize? What of the voices that rise in judgment? in scorn, in mockery. Look deeper. Their words are not daggers, they are confessions. They do not despise you for who you are, they despise you for who they are not. Every insult, every attempt to pull you back into the herd, is born not from wisdom but from fear. They see you moving beyond the limits they have accepted. They see you daring, reaching, claiming a life unchained, and it terrifies them. Because if you succeed, what excuse remains for their cowardice? Do not seek their approval. Do not wait for them to understand. The path of the free is walked alone, and those who fear it will always try to drag you back. They will call you reckless, arrogant, delusional. They will try to shame you into submission, into compliance, into the safety of mediocrity. But a man who shapes his own destiny does not stop to ask permission. He does not ask the lost for directions. He does not seek shelter in the acceptance of those who have built their lives on fear. Let them judge. Let them whisper. Let them watch from the shadows as you burn with a fire they do not understand. You owe them nothing, not an explanation, not an apology, not a moment of hesitation. Their approval is a currency of the weak, and you do not trade in weakness. Be free. Be untamed. And when they call your name in envy, in anger, in awe, keep walking. Defy yourself. Every day, do what terrifies you. Fear is the great architect of mediocrity. It builds invisible walls around your life, shrinking your world inch by inch, making you believe that comfort is safety, that stillness is peace. But comfort is a slow death, and stillness is a coffin for the living. The man who avoids fear does not escape it, he becomes its slave. He worships it in silence, allowing it to dictate his every move, to suffocate his ambitions, to decide for him what is possible and what is not. But you are not born to kneel before fear. You are born to break it. Every day, step forward into what unsettles you. Seek out the things that make your pulse quicken, your hands tremble, your mind hesitate. That hesitation is the boundary between who you are and who you could be. Every moment of fear is an invitation, a test, a doorway to something greater. But most turn away, choosing the prison they know over the unknown freedom beyond. They let fear shrink them until they become nothing at all. You must be different. You must teach yourself to walk into the fire, not away from it. Speak when your voice shakes. Act when doubt screams in your mind. Face what makes your soul recoil, and watch as its power over you crumbles. Each step into fear is a step into mastery, a step into becoming something more. The timid will call it recklessness. The fearful will call it madness. Let them. They do not understand what it means to be alive. Because to truly live is to wrestle with fear every day and win. Laugh at your fear. It exists only if you feed it. Fear is the great illusionist. It whispers in your mind, weaving shadows from nothing, turning the unknown into a monster, the future into a threat. It binds you not with chains, but with the weight of your own imagination. The more you listen, the stronger it grows. The more you obey, the more power it gains. But fear is a beggar, a parasite. It cannot live without your consent. And the moment you laugh at it, you tear the mask from its face. Do not fight fear with resistance. Fight it with mockery. Ridicule its lies. Laugh at its threats. Expose it for what it is, a ghost, a trick of the mind, a mirage that vanishes the moment you step toward it instead of away. The coward sees fear and bows his head, believing it to be real. The strong man sees fear and smiles, knowing it is nothing but smoke. The world is filled with men ruled by their fears, men who have caged themselves within walls they built with their own hands. They live small, quiet, unremarkable lives, mistaking avoidance for safety, submission for wisdom. They will tell you to be careful, to stay where it is warm, where it is familiar, where the illusion of security remains intact. Do not listen. Their laughter is hollow, because it is not the laughter of a man who has conquered fear. It is the nervous chuckle of one who still serves it. But your laughter must be different. It must be full, defiant, the laughter of a man who sees fear for the fraud it is. When it tells you that you will fail, laugh and move forward. When it warns you that you will suffer, laugh and endure. When it whispers that you are not strong enough, laugh and prove it wrong. Master the art of silence. It makes you mysterious and dangerous. Silence is not emptiness. It is not weakness. It is not the absence of thought. Silence is a weapon, sharper than any blade, more commanding than the loudest voice. It unsettles, it intrigues, it forces the world to watch and wonder. Those who understand silence do not beg for attention, they command it without effort. The weak drown in words. They spill their thoughts carelessly, believing that noise is power, that to be heard is to be obeyed. They explain, they justify, they plead for understanding. But the more they speak, the smaller they become. A man who cannot bear silence is a man who fears himself. He fears the weight of his own mind, the echoes of his own doubts, the uncomfortable truth that without words to hide behind, he is nothing. But you must not fear silence. You must master it. Let it be your armor, your mask, your fortress. In conversation, speak less than you are expected to. Let others reveal themselves, while you remain unreadable. In conflict, let your silence unnerve those who seek to control you. They will fill the void with their own weaknesses, their own anxieties, their own desperation to make you break. And when you do speak, make every word a blade. A silent man is a dangerous man. The world does not know what he thinks, what he plans, what he is capable of. He is an enigma, a storm held in check by his own will. He does not seek validation. He does not explain himself to fools. He watches, he calculates, he acts when the time is right. And when he speaks, the world listens. Do not look back. The past is the weight that drags you down. The past is a shadow, a specter that clings to your heels, whispering of failures, regrets, losses, and mistakes. It is a weight, an anchor, a chain that binds you to what has already been, to a life that no longer exists. You cannot breathe freely as long as you keep turning back, endlessly revisiting those old wounds, those old betrayals, those old fears. The more you look behind, the less you can move forward. The more you feed it with your attention, the more it controls you. The past, if you allow it, becomes the prison that holds your soul captive. The world will tell you that the past is necessary, that it shapes you, that it teaches you lessons. But this is the lie that keeps the weak tethered to their own ruin. The past is not a teacher, it is a thief. It steals your power, your energy, your potential. It convinces you that who you are is who you must always be. It tells you that mistakes are marks you must carry forever, that failures are burdens you must drag with you into every new day. But this is nothing but the tyranny of memory, the enslavement of the spirit to something that is already gone. What could be greater than the freedom to shed the past entirely, to rise from its ashes like a phoenix, reborn and unshackled? The future is a vast, open horizon, but you can only see it if you are willing to turn your back on the past. To walk forward is to walk with the understanding that you are not your mistakes, you are not your regrets, you are not the ghosts that haunt your mind. You are the possibility of who you choose to be now, in this moment, in this breath. You are not the person you were yesterday, nor the person you were last year, nor the person you were in the darkest hours of your life. You are something new, something unfurling, something becoming. And the only way to become who you are meant to be is to stop carrying the weight of who you once were. It is time to drop that burden, to release those memories that do nothing but weigh you down. Every time you look back, you feed that weight. Every time you regret, you sink deeper into the past. The only way to truly live is to free yourself from its grip. Let the past crumble. Let it die. It has no hold on you unless you give it power. And when you choose to stop looking back, you will find that you have become lighter, stronger, and more capable of seizing the future with both hands. The path ahead is yours to forge, but you will never see it clearly until you leave the past behind. Do not look back. Only then will you truly move forward. Turn failures into fuel. Every loss is not an end, but a beginning of a new path. Failure is not the enemy. It is the crucible in which the strongest souls are forged. The world tells you that failure is a defeat, that it marks you with shame and weakness, that it is a final judgment on your worth. But they lie to you. The truth is far more powerful. Every loss, every setback, every moment where you are brought to your knees is a victory in disguise, a chance to rise higher, to become more than you ever thought possible. We are conditioned to see failure as something to avoid, something to be feared, something that should never touch us. We build our lives in ways that are meant to protect us from it, to shield us from its cold, hard truth. But in doing so, we shield ourselves from the very forces that would propel us forward. For it is not in success that we learn who we truly are, but in the depths of defeat. It is in the face of failure that we are forced to confront our limits, to confront our weaknesses, to confront ourselves. And it is in that confrontation that our true strength is born. To fail is to begin again with the knowledge you did not have before. Every loss is a seed that, when watered with resilience and resolve, will grow into something far greater. Failure teaches you what success never will. It strips away your illusions, forces you to dig deeper, think sharper, and push harder. It is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of the next step, the next climb, the next challenge. What is the greatest fuel for a man's soul? It is not the easy victories, the fleeting moments of triumph. It is the fire that burns within him after he has lost everything, when there is nothing left to hold on to but his will to rise again. Failure, when embraced, becomes the spark that ignites the true path. If you want to walk the road of greatness, you must embrace failure not as an obstacle, but as the very fuel that will propel you forward. You must learn to love it, to savor it, to use it to drive you further than you ever thought you could go. For every failure is not a wall, but a doorway to a new and better version of yourself. You cannot build anything meaningful without first tearing down the old, without first facing the inevitable losses that are part of the process. So fail. Fail boldly. Fail often. But above all, fail with the understanding that it is not the end. It is the beginning. And with each loss, you are one step closer to becoming the person you are always meant to be. Let failure be your guide, your teacher, your motivator. For those who fall are the only ones capable of rising higher than ever before. Do not believe in absolute truths. Every truth was once a lie. Truth is a shifting sand, forever eroding beneath our feet, shaping itself into new forms with each passing generation. We cling to it as if it is something solid, something immovable, something that will stand the test of time. But the history of humanity is the history of truths overturned, of ironclad beliefs shattered, of what was once unassailable becoming a relic of ignorance. The truth you hold so dearly today is no more sacred than the lie it replaced. Truth is not a thing. It is a process, a moment in time, an evolving narrative that bends to the will of those who seek to understand it. What you call truth now, what society demands you accept as reality, is simply the current manifestation of human understanding. It is a story that has been told for so long, with such certainty, that it has become unquestionable, sacred, beyond reproach. But to those who have dared to look deeper, who have dared to question the very nature of truth itself, the illusion becomes clear. The truths of the past were not lies because they were intentionally deceptive. They were lies because they were incomplete, distorted, and shackled to the limitations of those who believed them. And yet, we are still taught to revere the so-called absolute truths, to bow before them as if they were immutable laws of the universe. But ask yourself this: what happens when we are no longer bound by the outdated frameworks of the past? What happens when we recognize that all we know is a fleeting moment in the vastness of existence? What happens when we strip away the illusions of certainty and embrace the chaos of becoming? You must understand this. Every truth is a product of its time. It is a fragile construct built on the shaky foundation of human perception, constantly changing, constantly evolving. What you accept as absolute today will one day be the relic of a bygone age, just as the truths of yesterday now seem quaint, naive, and even laughable. The truth that you believe in today is not eternal. It is temporary, fragile, and one day, it too will crumble into dust. So, reject the notion of absolute truth. Reject the comfort of certainty, the security of knowing. For in that very rejection, you open yourself to the freedom of exploration, the power of questioning, the possibility of discovery. Only in uncertainty can the mind truly be free. Only in embracing the unknown can you begin to touch the edges of reality. The greatest minds in history did not cling to the truths of their time. They transcended them, forged new paths, and created new understandings that shaped the course of civilization. Do not believe in absolute truths. Trust only in the power of questioning, in the art of doubt, in the relentless pursuit of a reality that is always just out of reach. For in that pursuit, you will become something greater than the false certainties of the past could ever make you. Learn from the predators. They do not wait for mercy. They take what is theirs. There is a raw primal force that exists within the world, a force that knows no hesitation, no pity, no fear. It is the force of those who do not wait for permission, who do not ask for forgiveness, who do not beg for scraps from the table. It is the force of the predators, the hunters, the ones who take what they desire without hesitation. They do not wait for opportunity to come to them. They seize it, they create it. They do not seek the approval of others, nor do they hope for mercy. They take, they consume, and they shape their destiny with their own hands. To live as the predator is to understand that life is not a gift to be received, but a field to be conquered. The world will not offer you success, wealth, power, or respect on a silver platter. These are not the things that come to the meek, the compliant, the patient. These are the things that are claimed, taken, by those who possess the courage to demand them. The predator does not wait for a moment of grace, nor does it cower in the face of obstacles. It simply acts. In the animal kingdom, mercy is a weakness, and hesitation is a death sentence. To wait, to hope, to depend on the goodwill of others is to forfeit your power. The predator does not rely on the whims of fortune. It makes its own fortune. It is driven by an instinct, a hunger, a thirst for what is its by right. It does not wait for the prey to come to it. It hunts, it tracks, it sets the pace. The world does not owe you anything, but you are owed what you take from it. And yet, how often do we make the mistake of waiting? How often do we allow ourselves to be passive, to hope that opportunity will knock on our door, that others will extend their hand to us? How often do we wait for permission to act, for the approval of others, for validation? The predator laughs at such weakness. It does not wait. It takes. If you are to live with purpose, if you are to leave a mark on the world, you must learn to take what is yours. You must shed the mentality of the passive observer and embrace the mindset of the hunter. Do not wait for life to come to you. Chase it. Do not wait for the approval of others. Demand it. Do not wait for success to fall into your lap. Seize it. For the world will not give you anything you do not take for yourself. In this life, there is no room for passivity. The predators, those who shape their own fate, those who rise above the rest, are the ones who know the value of action, the strength and assertiveness, and the power of taking what they want. And if you wish to walk among them, you must learn from their ways. Stop waiting for mercy. Take what is yours. Be patient, yet relentless. Great works take time, but weakness has no place. Patience is not a passive quality, but the steel will of the determined mind. It is the quiet endurance of those who know that the greatest of achievements are not born from haste or shallow ambition, but from the steady, relentless drive to see the task through. Time is the ally of the strong and the enemy of the weak. To accomplish great things, one must understand that time is not something to be feared or lamented. It is the very forge in which greatness is shaped. The finest works, the greatest empires, the most enduring legacies are not forged in a moment, but through years of unwavering dedication. The process, the struggle, the slow but inevitable ascent, is what gives meaning to the ultimate achievement. There is no shortcut to greatness. If you seek to create something truly monumental, something that will stand the test of time, you must embrace time itself as your ally, and use it to sharpen your vision, to hone your skill, to build upon every setback and every failure. But even as you remain patient, never mistake patience for complacency. Do not wait idle for your moment. Strike with relentless intent when it arrives. Weakness, hesitation, and fear have no place in your journey. The cost of indecision, of wavering, is more than you can afford. For each moment of weakness chips away at your resolve, at your potential, at your very soul. There can be no compromise, no mercy, no surrender. Every second you hesitate is a second lost, a moment where your destiny slips further out of reach. Patience does not mean passivity. Patience means the ability to remain unwavering, relentless in your pursuit, while knowing that the true fruit of your labor will come in due time. But the price of greatness is uncompromising discipline. You must never falter, never yield to the temptation of weakness. Greatness is not for those who bend under pressure, those who cave in the face of challenge. Greatness is reserved for those who understand that every moment is a battle that demands your full, undivided strength. You will encounter resistance, delays, moments of doubt. These are not signs that you should slow down. They are the very tests that will determine your place among the few who achieve greatness. Do not soften in the face of them. Use these moments as fuel, as the fire that burns in your soul and drives you onward. The truly great are not those who have never faced adversity, but those who have never been defeated by it. They understand that greatness is not a gift. It is earned slowly, relentlessly, through time, and through an unwillingness to surrender to the inevitable setbacks that will come. So be patient, yes, but be relentless. Build your future not in the haste of desperation, but in the iron will that knows nothing of doubt, nothing of fear, and nothing of surrender. Time will test you, but weakness will break you. And as you rise, undeterred and unbroken, you will find that the great works you sought to create will, in time, be the very works that define you. Reject the expectations of others. No one has the right to dictate who you are. How often have you bowed to the will of others? How many times have you let the world shape you, define you, tell you who you must be? You are born with a soul untouched, a mind that thirsts for truth, yet the world weaves its expectations around you like a noose. It tells you who you should love, what you should pursue, how you should look, speak, think, live. But who are they to decide? The world does not know you. The world knows only its assumptions, its judgments, its preconceptions. It is not a force of wisdom, but of conformity, an entity whose sole purpose is to maintain order, to suppress individuality, to stifle the very essence of who you could become. In every expectation placed upon you, there is a silent violence. It crushes the potential to be authentic. It strangles your ability to evolve, to express the full depth of your soul. It silences the call of your inner voice in favor of a louder, more forceful echo that demands conformity. You are not made to live someone else's dream. Your life is yours and yours alone. To allow others to dictate who you should be is to betray the very nature of existence. The human spirit was never meant to be caged, yet society seeks to imprison it under layers of approval, success, and superficial expectations. If you are to walk the path of true freedom, if you are to forge a life of meaning, you must reject these chains. You must tear away the layers of the masks others force upon you, and face the terrifying beauty of your own existence. Every expectation placed on you is a denial of your power. It is an insult to your potential. It tells you that you are not enough as you are, that your uniqueness is a flaw to be corrected, your vision too wild to be followed. It tells you that you must fit into the narrow confines of someone else's version of success. But true greatness lies in self-determination. It lies in the courage to say, I am who I choose to be, and no one can dictate otherwise. To reject the expectations of others is not to live in rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It is to live in truth, to honor the deepest desires of your soul, and to pursue your own unique path with unwavering commitment. Those who would try to shape you into their mold are only projecting their own fears, their own limitations. They seek comfort in the familiar, in conformity, but they do not possess the fire that burns within you. They do not understand the hunger that drives you toward your own destiny. You are not here to please the world. You are not here to play a part in someone else's script. You are here to write your own story, to become the person you are always meant to be, regardless of the voices that try to drown you out. Every time you listen to their expectations, you distance yourself from your own truth. And that distance, the gap between who you are and who they want you to be, will be the source of your suffering. So stand firm. Stand in the face of the world's judgment and speak your truth. Let the voices of the world fade into silence as you step into your power, your purpose, and your authenticity. The only thing that matters is who you choose to be. And if you refuse to let the world shape you, if you insist on living by your own standards, you'll come to realize that the expectations of others are nothing more than shadows, fading away in the light of your own freedom. Overcome the boundaries of the possible. What seemed impossible yesterday may become the norm today. There are no limits, none. The boundaries of the possible are drawn by the hands of those who dare not venture beyond them. They are not laws of nature. They are simply the limits of your imagination, your will, your courage. What you see as impossible is merely a reflection of what has not yet been dared, what has not yet been conquered. The greatest minds of history, the greatest souls who have shaped the course of humanity, did not bow to the limits of the possible, they shattered them. Yesterday's impossibility is but the foundation for tomorrow's triumph. Those who walk this earth, those who carve paths where others see only walls, understand this fundamental truth. What was once thought to be beyond reach is but a veil waiting to be lifted. In every age, there have been men and women who faced challenges that the masses said were insurmountable. They were told their dreams were too wild, their goals too high, their ideas too radical. And yet, these very people did not turn away in fear. They moved forward, driven by a relentless force that refused to accept anything less than the breaking of barriers. And with every step they took, the impossible became less of a concept and more of a reality. You stand at the edge of this same precipice. What you consider impossible today is nothing more than a product of your limited perception. The boundaries you face are not inherent in the world. They are embedded within your mind, within your beliefs. It is the mind that erects walls around us, walls that can seem impenetrable until we choose to see them not as boundaries, but as opportunities for breakthrough. When you hear the word impossible, what you should really hear is a challenge. The universe itself is an open expanse, an infinite frontier that has yet to be fully explored. The only true limitations are the ones you impose upon yourself. The fears that tell you this cannot be done, you're not enough, or this is beyond your reach are the voices of the cowardly, the conformists, the ones who choose comfort over creation. They do not know the fire that drives the creator, the innovator, the rebel. They do not know that what was once impossible is simply a moment in time, a fleeting obstacle, soon to be overthrown by the determined and the bold. To transcend the possible is to step beyond the confines of accepted thought, to defy the conventional understanding of what is feasible, to walk where others fear to tread. It is the mindset of the creator, the disruptor, the one who dares to dream what no one else dares to dream, and to act on those dreams with an unwavering commitment. You must dare to envision what others cannot see, and then pursue it with a fervor that knows no restraint. Think of the greatest accomplishments in history, the great works of art, the breakthroughs in science, the revolutions in thought. These were all once deemed impossible. The Wright brothers were told that flight was an impossibility. Einstein was dismissed by many who believed his theories were absurd. Jobs was ridiculed for thinking that personal computers could be within reach of the everyday person. Yet all of these men, and countless others, did not accept the boundaries of the possible as final. They rejected the idea that anything should be off limits. They knew that the world is shaped not by the possible, but by the audacity to transcend it. You must walk in their footsteps, but not as followers. You must lead, shaping the future with your will, your vision, and your refusal to accept the impossible. Every time you hear "that can't be done," know that you are standing at the threshold of a new frontier. What was once a mountain in your path can now become the very foundation upon which you will build your empire. What once seemed out of reach can now be touched by your own hands. This is the truth of greatness. It is the relentless pursuit of the impossible, the ability to see beyond the horizon, and the courage to act in spite of the odds. And as you continue to break these boundaries, you will not only redefine what is possible for yourself, but for all those who come after you. What once was beyond comprehension will one day be regarded as ordinary, and you will be the one who made it so. As you stand on the edge of possibility, remember that the world is yours to shape. The boundaries are only what you allow them to be. Let your life be a testament to the power of audacity, to the refusal to settle for anything less than your highest potential. Forge ahead with courage, break through the limits, and create a future that is yours alone. Now go and make the impossible your reality.